I sold my kidney and now own 3 private islands. It sounds like the setup to a bad joke, right? But for me, it was the only punchline that mattered. My name is Alex, and just a few years ago, my world was a tiny, sterile hospital room. My daughter, Maya, was tethered to a machine, her laughter replaced by a constant, soft beep. She needed a transplant. A very, very expensive one. The kind that insurance companies just laugh at. I worked 3 jobs. I sold everything I owned, from my car to my grandfather's watch. I pleaded with charities, started online fundraisers that went nowhere. Nothing worked. The clock was ticking, each second a hammer blow to my heart. One night, scrolling through desperate forums, I saw a post. It wasn't about charity, it was about opportunity. A private, international medical consortium was seeking donors for a new, experimental procedure. The compensation was astronomical, enough to save Maya 10 times over. I knew what it meant. The fine print didn't need to spell it out. But when I looked at my daughter's pale face, the choice was already made. What was one part of me compared to her whole life? The facility was discreet, more like a luxury spa than a hospital. Everything was clean, quiet, and unsettlingly professional. They explained the procedure was part of a groundbreaking regenerative study. My donation would help develop artificial organs, saving countless lives. They called me a hero. They handed me a contract that felt heavier than a tombstone and a pen that shook in my hand. I signed. The surgery was a blur. I woke up with a sharp pain in my side and an even sharper pang of guilt. But when I checked my account, the numbers were there. So many zeros they looked like a row of life rafts. I paid for Maya's transplant without a second thought. I flew her to the best clinic in the world. The day she walked out of that hospital, hand in hand with me, breathing the fresh air on her own, that was the moment my new life began. I'd done it. I'd won. With the money left over, I started investing. I'd always had a knack for numbers, a skill I'd never had the capital to use. First, a small tech startup. It exploded. Then real estate, then crypto. Everything I touched turned to gold. It was like the universe was repaying me. Within a year, I was a millionaire. Within 3, a billionaire. I bought my first private island as a joke, a symbol of how insane my life had become. Then a second, and a third. I built a paradise for Maya. Crystal clear water, white sand beaches, a home filled with laughter instead of beeping machines. We were safe. We were happy. I had traded a piece of myself for her future, and it was the best deal I ever made. The scar on my side was just a reminder, a small price to pay for her smile. One evening, I was hosting a lavish gala on my main island. Philanthropists, tech moguls, world leaders, my new circle. I was a success story, the man who came from nothing. A distinguished older gentleman, Mr. Sterling, the head of a massive biotech conglomerate, approached me. He praised my business acumen, my Midas touch. We chatted for a while, and then he leaned in, a conspiratorial glint in his eye. "You know," he said, "you remind me of our most successful venture. A few years ago, we were developing a new class of investment AI. We needed a biological processing unit with unparalleled predictive capabilities, something that could analyze market fluctuations on a quantum level." He paused, sipping his champagne. "We theorized that the most potent processor would be one forged in desperation. We found a donor, someone willing to give up a piece of themselves for something they loved more than life. We integrated our tech into a bioorgan and transplanted it. The data it generated, my God, the predictive accuracy was off the charts. It made us all billionaires." He smiled warmly at me. That project was the foundation of my entire empire. We called it Project Midas. My blood ran cold. The champagne glass felt impossibly heavy. He wasn't talking about saving lives with artificial organs. He was talking about a stock market machine. I looked down at my hand, then at the sprawling paradise around me. The boats, the mansion, the laughing guests. My Midas touch. It was never mine. My success, my investments, my knack for numbers, it was all a script, written by an algorithm humming away inside a stranger. Mr. Sterling patted me on the shoulder. Of course, we couldn't just leave our golden goose in some random person. We had to keep tabs. So, we tracked all the trades made by the recipient of the original organ. We just mirrored his every move. He never knew, of course. Just some desperate man who got lucky. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a strange kind of pride. Whoever he is, I owe him everything. Cheers to him, eh? He raised his glass. I stood there, frozen, in the middle of my gilded cage, built with money that wasn't mine, from a success that was a lie. My scar began to ache, a phantom pain that was all too real. I hadn't just sold my kidney. I had sold my soul and hadn't even realized I was the one for sale. I look at Maya now, so full of life, and I have to ask myself every single day, was it worth it? And the scariest part is, I still don't know the answer.